I'm drowning in my history, prisoner of past defeats. Tell me what the future holds. Tell me, baby. Terrified of things to come. Paralyzed, I can't.
The Donkey Kong Country series. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's leaf hath all too short a date. Well, until I meet and seduce my new wife Ada Wong with my blokey charm, and then promise her a trip to Wolverhampton to watch the Human League. Sorry, where was I? Yes, the Donkey Kong Country series. Now, this is perhaps the greatest platform series of all time. I adore these games. Yes, Mario plums and rescues princesses, Sonic can run at excessive speeds, Crash Bandicoot can run, spin and get involved in some crazy platform shenanigans, Samus Aran can run, shoot, upgrade her suits and guns and explore alien worlds, and Pit can climb his way to heaven training like Rocky Balboa in order to take on the devil. Yes, my friends, I've played a ton of them in the course of my life. I'm sorry, Scrooge, it's not you, it's me. I need a little time, a little space, a place to find myself again, you know. Oh yeah, I know a goodbye when I hear it, but my heart's already out there and it's walking down the street. It's hard to find a platform game that really surpasses the Donkey Kong Country series. However, more recently I played the excellent Tiny Toon Adventures Buster Busts Loose for the Super Nintendo after watching an awesome video from Gaming for Ages, and after commenting on their video, Bedgel replied to my comment and highly recommended that it's a must play. I took his sagely advice, whipped out my phone and I immediately purchased it from eBay. And after playing it one chilly Saturday evening, I concluded he was indeed correct. In fact, a massive shout out to both Dibs Ahoy and Bedgel, who are both such cool guys and making some top quality content. Yes, indeed, Konami's game is so addictive, fun and challenging, and is definitely up there as a top tier title. But alas, I don't know why, but as good as the games I have mentioned are, I just really dig the idea of playing as a tie-wearing ape and his sidekick working together as a team to retrieve their banana hoard, which has been stolen by a portly evil crocodile boss, King K. Rool. Platforming through jungles, caves, temples and underwater areas, plundering each stage for hidden bonus rooms and getting verbally abused by Cranky for how games in 1994 were pap and kids just don't know what a good game was back then. I mean, it's been 30 years and I'm still playing these games. I think I may need some therapy, but one which specialises in Donkey Kong Country addiction management. I just can't stop thinking about these games. I remember as a kid playing the snow levels on Donkey Kong Country in winter time and looking out the window when we actually got snow in the UK. To see my town drowning in inches of the white stuff was very, very exciting. However, I was inside feeling cozy with my cup of tea as I battled through Snow Barrel Blast, imagining that it was just like in the game. Good times. I'm getting on in years now and I may not be as sharp as I used to be, my memory might be failing me, but my experiences with all three of these games are locked in my memory, and even when they decide to put me in the old folks home, I'll be wearing my crochet bobble hat, tartan blanket, sitting in my rocking chair, reminiscing about the Donkey Kong Country series. Now, last time I did a top 10 of the most difficult levels in Donkey Kong Country, and after playing the game for hours and ranking each level for its difficulty, concluded that the hardest stage in my opinion was the frustrating Poison Pond. Although I do know that many probably would have put Snow Barrel Blast on here as number 1, I can tell you again that it's not that hard, and this is coming from someone who's very average at video games, but hey, it's just my own list and it's subjective, right? Well, I decided to jump back in and do another top 10. This time it's for Donkey Kong Land on the Game Boy. Before I unveil my list, I think I should give you a little context as to what the Donkey Kong Land series is. Yes, Rareware, the same developers who made the Donkey Kong Country series on the Super Nintendo. They made GoldenEye, Killer Instinct, Perfect Dark, Jet Force Gemini and other such classic titles, also did Donkey Kong Country style games for the 8-bit monochrome back in the day, using the same Silicon graphics technology, and they are absolute belters and in many ways similar, but also very different to their console counterparts. I would say that Donkey Kong Land 2 is probably most like Donkey Kong Country 2, as it features the same map, same level names, collectibles, mostly all the bosses, all the animal bodies and bonus rooms, but it features completely different level layouts, which was very cool. The first game in the series landed on the Game Boy in 1995, and I purchased it with some birthday money that I had. It featured 4 jam-packed worlds with some familiar set pieces such as the jungle, cave, snow, temple and underwater backgrounds, and added in some new stages taking place in the mountains, the clouds, and even a city, which was a nod and wink to the original Donkey Kong. Now, this is not to do the game a disservice, but it kind of reminds me of Command & Conquer Retaliation on the PlayStation 1, whereby if you played Red Alert to death and want more challenging missions, then Retaliation will give you more of what you want, and will certainly offer up more of the same, but also added some extra stuff too. So yeah, you boot up the game and you're plunged right into the jungle, and whilst things may look familiar, there are brand new enemies, bosses and even some levels now a lot more vertical than they were in Donkey Kong Country. Heck, there's even a long stage on a pirate ship which seemed never ending and was a precursor to what the second SNES game Diddy's Kong Quest would become. Once again you play as both Diddy and Donkey Kong, and you can select between the two in stages provided you have found a DK barrel. This being the Game Boy, both characters are unable to be on screen at the same time. Also, the game is very short and can be beaten in about 2 hours or so if you know what you're doing. There's also no other Kongs to help you, and even Cranky isn't in the game. It really is just Donkey and Diddy battling through all new areas of Donkey Kong Island, tracking down King K. Rool, who has stolen the Banana Horde once again. These 4 worlds are Gangplank Galleon Ahoy, featuring a mixture of jungle, snow and pirate ship levels, Kremlantis, which is perhaps the coolest world as it features levels set in temples, stages and underwater areas, Monkey Mountains and Chimpanzee Clouds, where the game changes drastically with stages, as mentioned, taking place in caves, mountains with falling boulders and on clouds in the sky above. Finally, it's a trip to Big Ape City, where the goal is to put your best foot forward, high above skyscrapers, construction sites and on and off K. Rool's personal Zeppelin, which gives me major Dr. Robotnik vibes, before a huge battle with the King of the Kremlins himself, King K. Rool. So this game is jam-packed full of tough and challenging levels, and I want to give you a rundown on the top 10 toughest levels in the game. Again, just like last time, please feel free to agree or disagree with me in the comment section below. My list is subjective and just my own opinion, so I challenge you to give me your top 10 list of what you think the hardest levels are and your experiences with the game. Anyway, with that pap out of the way, let's crack on with the top 10 hardest levels in Donkey Kong Land from easiest to hardest. Number 10. Collapsing Clouds. This level takes place high in the sky of World 3, Monkey Mountains and Chimpanzee Clouds. Yes, you guessed it, Collapsing Clouds. This is a gimmick that you won't find in Donkey Kong Country, and was certainly a new addition that many, me included, didn't expect and took me by surprise. The goal is to jump on the clouds with precision timing and work your way across the stage. I swear Indiana Jones had an easier time when he was looking for the Grail. Luckily, Espresso the Ostrich can be obtained in this stage early on, and does make the journey a wee bit easier, as he can jump on those nasty Kremlins and take them out of the game with relative ease. And with repetition, seasoned platform veterans will be able to fly through this level, sometimes literally using Espresso in a matter of seconds. Just don't do what I did and mistime the floaty jump. He fell, Your Honour? The stage is relatively short, but it's on the list for 2 reasons. Firstly, it's a level that is amongst the easiest, but the one where the game starts to get a wee bit challenging. Because of this sneaky bonus room barrel here, that's cunningly hidden and requires you to find it. Secondly, Donkey Kong Land isn't as fast as Donkey Kong Country, and so jumping from cloud to cloud requires a bit more effort, as unfortunately the oversized sprites, although absolutely gorgeous, are as slow as molasses, and you have to kind of plan your jumps accordingly, as often it can feel like a Herculean effort, and sometimes even executing a simple jump can lead to you failing, if you were not aware of this. However, it's not a game breaker, but one that's caught me out every now and again, particularly if you want all secrets. Yes, my friends, I must have died 1,000 times trying to find this bloody barrel, and it's really easy when you know how, but if you're playing this for the first time and you're rinsing the game for secrets, then this can be somewhat of a minor inconvenience. Watch out for the enemies up here too, and you should be able to get through this one quickly. So yeah, it's an easy stage, but one where a devious barrel is enough to make it the easiest of the hardest stages so far. Still, what a lovely looking level, and a great idea to have a level where you're platforming in the sky. Number 9, Freezing Fun. Now this is probably one of the best examples of Rare throwing in a tricky snow stage in just the second level of the game. Anyone who played Donkey Kong Country knows that these levels don't come until much later, and I dare say that a lot of people playing Donkey Kong Land probably thought that it would be a cakewalk and the frustrating levels would come much later. Jimmy Hill. Well, they are kind of right, but Gangplank Galleon throws a monkey wrench right into your plans by featuring a mixture of challenging stages right from the off. Freezing Fun begins on a very icy and slippery landscape, so you really need to watch your footing here and be careful. Just starting off, you can get blindsided by Kremling here if you're not careful. Now, this being on the Game Boy, the viewing window is absolutely tiny and enemies can just blindside you and run into view, and they can be very tricky to spot. Watch out for flying pigs and naughties here too. There's also some blast barrels here, which are proof indeed that they can rocket you further through the stage, but you really need to watch your footing when you land. You need to take your time as there are plenty of bottomless pits here. Later on you get more bog standard manic Kremlings which will impede your progress if you don't see them, or if you react to them wrongly by mistiming a jump. Towards the end you're subjected to zingers which now move in erratic patterns, and a Kremling naughty enemy combination, as well as a perilous tire jump which looks easy, but believe me, if you're in a hurry and you don't have enough momentum, you can slip off that bad boy very easily. So yeah, please take your time, and with careful navigation you should conquer this level. It's certainly freezing, but fun? Well, I'll let you be the judge when you play it. Number 8, Sky High Caper World 3. We're back in World 3 for the number 8 pick. It's Sky High Caper and it's the stuff of nightmares. Essentially the Kongs must manoeuvre through the clouds, but this time using these lifts with little arrows on them. Get this, you have to jump on them or get the lift to bounce in particular points in the background to dictate the direction the lift will go in. Yes, you heard me correctly, you essentially are controlling where you go, but at the same time you're holding on for dear life as enemies swoop in, and this can cause you to jump, and because you have nowhere to go, the lift is the only safe spot that you have, so you have to go where it goes, otherwise in most cases you will lose precious lives. Now there are safe spots, i.e. clouds, where you can take a breather, and trust me when I say you are going to need it. Particularly if you haven't played this level before, it can feel downright cruel and unfair and rewards sloppy play. It doesn't help that this level is very long and they really utilise the flying pigs and zingers who just seem to quickly zoom into shot, yell surprise, and you must quickly dodge them. Even though I'm a grizzled Donkey Kong Land veteran, I still got my ass handed to me. Once you kind of adjust to the level, it's honestly not so bad. I would advise getting used to the lifts as quickly as possible. If you don't control it, it will control you, and your progress will seriously be impeded here. A very lengthy and sneaky level, Rare threw in to keep Donkey Kong Country veterans on their toes. Oh, I'm getting one of me migraines just thinking about it. Anyway, onward and upward. Number 7, Riggin' Rumble, Gangplank Galleon. Let's get ready to rumble! Sorry, I've always wanted to say that. Anyway, we are back in World 1 with a level that is unbelievably harder than Sky High Caper, that being Riggin' Rumble. This is one of the best levels in the game, firstly because it's something new that we only got a glimpse of in Donkey Kong Country when we fought K. Rool on his pirate ship. Here in Donkey Kong Land we actually get to go on the ship a few times and have some vertical climbing. Secondly, this level is cruel, and yes, I'm applauding the game for that. Even as a kid this level was my Achilles heel. It kicked my bony butt over and over. However, I subscribe to the notion that it has to be different and hard, not only to stick it to those cocky players who think just because they play Donkey Kong Country they can easily breeze through Donkey Kong Land, but also to differentiate itself from that game and kind of do its own thing. Anyway, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to conquer the ship level by navigating a series of ropes and climbing up the rigging on the various platforms. Note that there are certain areas that the Kongs can't get to right away and will require a little more climbing in other parts to reach them. Slippers and Kremlins are strategically placed here to try and interfere with your progress, and once again I'm sounding like a stuck record, but your jumps must be done very carefully. Also, later on when manoeuvring across the many ropes with these bloody slippers snakes on, don't rush it, as trust me, you will get caught out really easily. Now, eagle-eyed players will be able to pick up some really cool pickups, so take time to look everywhere. It's an incredibly long level, and I'm sure this was entirely by design. Even if you're a Donkey Kong Country veteran, this stage will knock your socks off and make you earn your Weetabix. The stage alternates from being on the main deck to being high up, climbing ropes, and the enemies just keep on coming. If you thought the zingers were bad and freezing fun, you ain't seen nothing yet. Plus they even add in these little snapping Kremlins too. Well, on the plus side, no one can accuse this level of lacking variety. It's again a very cool idea, giving players a brand new level template, and for upping the challenge, I'm sure you grizzled platform veterans will get a kick out of it. It's new, it's tough, and that's why Rig and Rumble makes the list. Number 6, Button Barrel Blast World 4 Big Ape City. Another new level and gimmick introduced to the Donkey Kong universe, and is Button Barrel Blast in World 4. In this construction site level, the Kongs must navigate the stage by controlling the direction that the blast barrels will go via a series of buttons that accompany them. Pretty cool stuff. As soon as the level starts, you have a naughty infestation, but even knowing that, I got caught out by another annoying armadillo which sent me rocketing straight into a bottomless pit. So it's not so much the barrels that are the issue, it really is the enemies, and of course the Kong's slow jumping momentum, which might be the main issue later on in this stage. And there's far more of these blasted life rinsers, and yes, I fell for the same smeg twice. Still, I really enjoyed this level, in particular this cheeky little secret here which requires you to position this barrel to where this lone banana sits at the bottom of the screen, indicating a hidden bonus room. The attention to detail is brilliant because you can't just jump down there and get the secret, you specifically have to use the barrel, which goes to indicate that Rare really put a lot of care and made sure that players adhere to the gimmick at hand. Also, I just get a real kick out of having buildings in the background and seeing a world set into the city. So yes, to reiterate, this stage is not hard due to the constant barrel blasts, but the enemies themselves. I died here more times than I did with Rig and Rumble because they just seem to pop out of nowhere and take me by surprise. They kind of blend in as well. Again, I don't have a problem with that because it's a Game Boy and there's going to be limitations. I have seen many reviewers complain about this till the cows come home, but it's just one of the game's foibles and it's something that can kind of be adapted to. On Rig and Rumble, it's much more obvious to see them as the background is bright but not really cluttered. However, overall, Button Barrel Blast is a refreshing level that certainly keeps you on your toes. Number 5, Track Attack. Well, we've reached the halfway point in the top 10 and it's really down to the wire. Taking the number 5 spot is Track Attack, which again takes place in World 3. This is the final level from World 3, which made my list. Now, this is the level that is 2 levels before Sky High Caper, if you can believe that. Whereas that level was all about controlling the lifts, this level has the Kongs jumping on and making use of similar lifts, which thankfully have a straightforward pattern. However, you must stay on them as they ride you around the level, avoiding enemies and making sure not to drop down. Boy oh boy, the zingers are back, and as usual are a pain to avoid. Oh, and the flying pigs are back too, so you're really up against it. You can at least take a breather when you find these clouds, but man, I didn't expect the stage to be so difficult. I even got caught out by Kremlin, which hardly ever happens, but for that to happen just goes to show how much I was struggling. I tried to keep my composure, but I either got knocked in mid-air by an enemy or I legitimately fell off, mistimed my jump and by panicking and cursed this game for its challenges. My only advice is again, take it slow and don't make any sudden large movements. It's very tempting to try and get this level out of the way, and it's not even that it's bad level design, it's something you have to endure. You shouldn't have any problems getting a plethora of lives to attempt this stage over and over if you are struggling. The great thing about Donkey Kong Land is that it's incredibly generous that way, particularly with the bonus rooms that have the machines that spit out lives. That's what those coins are for. That's scattered about each stage. Get enough of them, feed the machine, and with careful timing you can fill up the life meter and even exceed it too. It gives you multiple chances to gain valuable experience and insight on this and other tough stages. I mean, on this stage I feel like a trapeze artist trying to grab onto multiple swings and having to be precise down to the last pixel. The hit detection is admittedly very dodgy on this game anyway, but I was keenly aware that pretty much all the errors I made on this level were my own. Now I could get on my soapbox and start blasting the developers for not utilising the screen better, but that's just not me. In fact, whilst most reviewers would and have gone on about the many problems Donkey Kong Land has, I actually think that many of them were just a byproduct of trying to squeeze as much as they could into the Game Boy, and given the impressive graphics and efforts that's gone into this game, I don't mind its foibles. And it was the first in the series on Game Boy, and later on Rare would be able to improve on the sprite work and animation with later games in the series. Track attack is tough, but my advice is to memorise as best you can the enemy placements, in particular those flying pigs who made a monkey out of me time and time again. So yeah, that's why this level made it to the number 5 spot. Number 4, Kong Crazy. Another level gimmick and stage you didn't get in Donkey Kong Country. All evil bosses such as either Robotnik and King Koopa or Bowser, depending on your region from the 90s, seem to have flying airships or doom ships equipped with enemies, bosses and projectiles. King K. Rool saw how much fun his friends were having and decided to join the Mile High Club too and purchase his own Zeppelin, which gives me serious Max Zorin vibes. Now this is very cool, as Donkey and Diddy actually play a few levels on different parts of it in World 4 Big Ape City. Kong Crazy is so named because this time they must navigate the stage by collecting 3 sets of 4 Kong letters in each section that are being guarded by enemies or placed in areas where precision platforming is required. Rather than give you an extra life, collecting all 4 letters creates a platform to help you progress through the level. It's interesting to note that even if you don't collect all the letters, the ones you do have will still produce part of the platform, and in some cases you can cheese your way through without collecting all of them. All the major baddies make a return here, from Kremlins, those little snapping buggers, zingers, armadillos and more fast moving blast barrels. This level is awesome, but man is it tough. I think mainly because of the enemy patterns, and as you start to make progress each letter seems to be in a much more challenging location, such as this one. One other thing that's really cool about this level are the 2 backgrounds you have inside the Zeppelin, which looks like something from an Indiana Jones movie, and just behind we have a layer that creates an illusion of movement, which again just goes to show you how much effort Rare put into this game. Now the movement is super welcome and makes for an authentic experience. So if you've ever found yourself traversing a massive city collecting bananas and jumping on and off a giant mechanical Zeppelin, then you'll feel right at home here. As hard as this stage was, I absolutely think this is one of the most innovative levels in the game and a real breath of fresh air. My only gripe is that I wish there were more of these Zeppelin stages in the game, as to my knowledge there's only 2 of them. This one and a level called Fast Barrel Blast. Well, I suppose it's that old adage, leave the player wanting more. So yeah, this is at the number 4 spot because if the platforming doesn't catch you out, then the strategically placed enemies will. And again, I didn't mind getting caught out at all. This is a hard stage, but again, a lot of fun. Number 3, well, we're getting down to the final levels now in this top 10 list, and it certainly was hard trying to narrow them all down and find only the toughest cuts from the Donkey Kong Land cloth. The next toughest stage is once again located in World 4 Big Ape City, and it is a rather complicated stage called Skyscraper Caper, not to be confused with Sky High Caper from World 3. We are back jumping across platforms high atop buildings and using lots and lots of ropes, which seem to have the same movement properties of escalators. Instead of going up, however, they are going down, so you really have to climb like a mofo and make sure you're high enough to leap, because if not, then I'm sorry buddy, you're going down. And down I did many times. I mistimed a lot of jumps, and you absolutely must have eyes in the back of your head, as these enemies are very sneaky. Look at this cheeky zinger parked right here, which took poor Donkey by surprise and led to the poor ape falling and being taken straight to his local A&E, where he waited 10 hours for a tetanus jab. This level is made even more difficult because sometimes you can't always tell if there is safe ground below you, and 9 times out of 10, even if there is safe ground, when you try to drop down, the in-game camera seems to count it as a bottomless pit. It kind of gives me Sonic the Hedgehog Jungle Zone Act 2 vibes on the Master System, so my best advice would be always to presume that there isn't safe ground and expect the unexpected. It gave me Major 2 vibes, and yes, even I succumbed to mistimed jumps and I couldn't really get a footing on this stage for a while. It became increasingly difficult as I would get caught out by lots of stuff. Towards the end is a horrid section with zingers guarding long ropes, and you must time your movements carefully. Right after them are more snakes on ropes, and just like in Rig and Rumble, you will need to execute perfect timing to get past them. It's so easy to screw up here, and I'm incredibly impatient with this stage. However, it's something different and something very fulfilling as well at the same time about conquering these types of levels that require absolute accuracy. The cheeky devs even stuck in a few cheeky barrels there too. Even this bonus room is not safe. Good grief, what the hell is going on here? I mean, is this Donkey Kong Land or hell itself? It's like everything is out to thwart the Kong's progress on this stage. So yeah, it's rope navigation, careful jumps and working with the camera's limited view. Just assume that everything is a danger zone and you should be okay. Man, what an exhausting climb this stage was, and that's why it's at the number 3 spot. Number 2. Okay, so the number 2 spot goes to a stage in World 1 called Congo Carnage. It's relatively short in comparison to the other stages in the game, but it proved to be one of the most frustrating ones. It's set in the jungle, and you would think you could just have a leisurely run and bounce through the stage. Jimmy Hill. The enemies seem to come out of nowhere here, and I got caught out by a cheeky Kremlin that I didn't even see until it was too late. Most of the jungle has been cut off with bottomless pits, and utilising ropes to progress to the other side is the only way forward. Rare have ensured that the zingers will make excellent enemies in this regard, and are threatening menace, intimidating players into falling down into the great beyond. Still, I like this kind of stage design. In many ways it reminds me of those homebrew Kaiser Mario games which feature tougher stages by putting the player through the ringer until they learn the stage by rote. Watch out for this nut throwing necky right here and try and grab this bonus room barrel. As previously mentioned, if you have enough of those Kong tokens, you can at least rinse the room for lives and push on through. Rare even threw in this cool little detail where you can throw a barrel and break open this tiny cave for a transparent effect. Okay Rare, now you're just showing off. Towards the end of the stage are more zingers and rope obstacles. I did a Richard Kimball style leap and mistimed it completely. Yes my friends, I got seriously tested on this stage and it's a lot tougher than the others in my opinion. Yikes, I'm getting old. I really enjoyed this one though, and it was a worthy number 2 in my opinion. Okay, so now the moment you've all been waiting for. Which level in Donkey Kong Land will take the coveted number 1 spot? Now this pick might surprise everyone, but the hardest level for me in Donkey Kong Land is level 6 in World 1, Gangplank Galleon Ahoy Tire Trail. Now this is another jungle level admittedly, but it features bottomless pits and lots of tires to bounce off. It's another fun level, but one which is also very devious. Just check out this strategically placed zinger here which caught me completely off guard. Now the temptation is to rush through the stage just like in the original Donkey Kong Country, but trust me, that is almost ill-advised unless you know this level blindfolded. There's a dodgy jump right here that I just couldn't make for the longest time. I would bounce off the tyre, but I would try to angle my jump, but I just wouldn't make it. Soon after that I got cocky as I managed to get Donkey on the top of the trees. I tried to do a heroic leap thinking that it would get me out of this horrible situation. However, I went tumbling down into a bottomless pit. Come on, give me a break, will ya? Not only that, but the Kremlins are so small and just seem to come out of nowhere, and I would get blindsided. It's clear that Rare wanted to create a Kaiser Donkey Kong Country level to make any fool thinking they could breeze through this Game Boy adventure think again. You would think that I would take my own advice after telling you guys to take it slow. I just wanted this level to be over, so I once again tried to speed through it, but I mistimed a jump on the same damn pit again. This was a devious level, and I'm certainly not making excuses, but the graphics are so impressive that it's hard to judge the momentum, and due to the Kong's sluggish jumping, you need pixel perfect perfection to get through. I did eventually win the day, but man, it took me a while, and I died far more times on this stage than any other. Again, I love the stage, it's awesome, and this is exactly what I needed. It's a real test of the player's reflexes and really forces you to dig down deep to win the day. Well, there you have it, blokes and birds. That was my top 10 list of the hardest levels in Donkey Kong Land on the Nintendo Game Boy. Now I know what some of you might be saying though. Swagger Blonde, what about World 2? You're honestly telling me that you didn't find any of those stages difficult? You've just totally ignored it, either that or you just don't care for the world. What's going on? Well, honestly guys, I love World 2. Kremlantis is absolutely fantastic. I feel this is the world where Rare really got creative, and I love the bog standard temples faithfully recreated on Game Boy, and of course the new sunken ones. Additionally, the Nautilus chase was fantastic, very unnerving and very unexpected and very cool. However, I got through the stage without really having any trouble, so that would have made the list if I'd have died enough times, but I hardly died at all, to be honest. Also, the new fish baddies were a real sight for sore eyes and anyone who had played Donkey Kong Country to death. Unfortunately, I didn't really die much on World 2. I found the levels to be pretty easy, very enjoyable. I kinda wish I had died more on them, as it would have given my top 10 list far more variety, but they just didn't make the list for that reason. It's not that I hate them or that I don't care for them, it's just I didn't really die on them. Oh well, maybe if I do a top 10 favourite levels list, they'll certainly appear, and I have a suspicion that the Nautilus chase would probably make the number 1 spot. Now, my top 10 list is subjective and it's really just my own experiences and opinions I had whilst playing. I would really like to hear your top 10 list of the hardest stages. Please don't be shy. Feel free to let me know if you feel I was wrong and whether I'm just a terrible player. Maybe let me know the moments that halted your progress and drove you to DK despair. Thank you though, as always, for taking time out of your busy schedule to watch one of my videos. I really appreciate it. If you have enjoyed my ramblings and sad attempts to be funny and want to see more, then you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, like, please leave a comment as well, as I'd really love to hear from you. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time for another retro gaming video. Take care.
I'm drowning